Music City, USA has rolled out the red carpet for the motorsports world, and now GT America, powered by AWS, is taking center stage. Yesterday, Onofrio Triarci scored the overall win in his series debut, while Rob Holland got back into the GT4 championship picture with a class win of his own. The streets of Nashville are about to come alive with the sound of racing engines, so hello and welcome to Nashville, Tennessee, and the next round of the GT America powered by AWS Championship. My name is Ryan Marine. It's a pleasure to have your company. Amanda Busick will be patrolling the pit lane and filling in for our friend Calvin Fish, who has an excused absence this weekend, is Bob Varsha. Bob, yesterday was a race into the twilight. Today, much different conditions greeting the teams and competitors.
Absolutely. The cooler temperatures, a spectacular sunset, the Tim McGraw concert next door. I mean, it was just a raucous time here in the honky-tonk capital of the world. But today, as you mentioned, very different. Very little shade here next to Nissan Stadium, home of the Tennessee Titans. We've got much warmer temperatures, roughly 91 degrees Fahrenheit ambient. The track has been baking in this sunshine. It's going to be an entirely different challenge for these 26 drivers.
We talk about the heat, but the humidity also a big storyline, up to around 67%. We've seen at times it's dipped a little bit here as of late, down to 63%. As you see on the screen, that is the front row, and once again, it is the Triarci Competizione team that will lock out the front row. And Onofrio Triarci, a winner yesterday, and his teammate Justin Wetherill, who will start alongside, completed a 1-2 finish for the team.
Yeah, that was a spectacular team effort, and truth be told, Wetherill had the tougher job because he was battling with Jason Delascos in his Audi for the entire length of the race. Great job by the Triarci team. They'll be looking for more points today. We now have our fourth different winner in 9 races in the SRO 3 class, 8th different winner in 9 races in GT4. It's been a spectacular season.
It has been a topsy-turvy season. As mentioned, 8 different winners. Rob Holland became the most recent, and he will start on pole once again, but it is a fire-breathing field of GT4 competitors that are about to go, and a number of the fast cars from yesterday are starting towards the back. Well, we're about to get this party started, so without further ado, let's head down to the front of the grid for the words that will get the race started.
It is race number 2 here for the GT America powered by AWS, and to get those words started, Ryan, he is a guest of CrowdStrike. He hails from Atlanta. Richard Heineman with those words.
Drivers, start your engines.
And with that famous utterance, the engines roar to life, and we're about to go for a 40-minute sprint around the streets of Nashville, Tennessee. A lot of these streets, the posted speed limit is 35, 40, 45 miles per hour. We were seeing top speeds from the GT3 cars yesterday, over 150 across the Korean Veterans Memorial Bridge.
Right, fastest part of the racetrack, 1,650 feet, roughly a third of a mile of this racetrack is over the rise and fall of the Veterans Memorial Bridge. And it is spectacular to watch them go around. Now the track is modified, 2.17 miles, slightly modified from last year, slightly quicker. We're seeing record laps left, right, and center. 11 turns. We have an issue here on the grid. Oh my.
That's Jason Harward. This car was in the wars yesterday. Had a good run going, made some wall contact, and it looks like they're going to have some problems getting that car started. You can see the pit lane officials waving the field by. Now, depending on how long this takes, there is a chance Jason will be able to regain his spot on the starting grid. Hopefully gets a quick fix. That's team principal Ty Isaac there leaning into the car, and that is good news. The lights flashed, and that's typically a good sign with these modern race cars.
It's like a computer. Turn it off and turn it on again, and away you go. Good thing he has a lap and a half of formation lappery before they flash the green flag.
Here is the starting grid. Onofrio Triarci, a winner yesterday. He will start on pole with his teammate Justin Wetherill alongside. He had a great duel yesterday with Jason Daskalos, who is set to start third. Jason Harward is due to line up on the outside of the second row in that brightly colored SRO Motorsports Lamborghini. Scott Smithson and George Kurtz, those two had a duel of their own yesterday. George, the championship leader, fresh off of a class win at the Total Energies 24 Hours of Spa. David Askew and Mirko Schultes in the ever-popular Callaway Corvette, starting 7th and 8th, and Kyle Washington at the back of the SRO 3 field. But as mentioned, it is multi-class racing. The GT4 pole sitter is the winner from yesterday. Rob Holland, Chris Cognazzi, a great lap. Not a great result yesterday, but that shows the potential of that car. He'll start second. These two are dueling for the points lead. Jason Bell had it until the race ended yesterday. Ross Schwest now has it by 3 points. Marco Radicic and Edgar Lau starting further back than you'd expect. That Mustang looked strong yesterday. Adam Adelson and Andy Pilgrim, yes, the former GM factory driver, 24 Hours of Le Mans podium man, he's in this field. Sean Whalen and Anthony Bartone of the famed drag racing Bartone family. Gray Newell and Matt Forbush a little bit further back on the GT4 grid. And on it goes, back to Jason Clooney, the Canadian, making his debut in the series this weekend. And local businessman Rusty Biddle, who is working on building a motorsports park somewhere between this location in Nashville and Memphis. More on that perhaps throughout the broadcast. Nick Shandy and Rick Euler, a couple of teammates a little bit further back in the field as well. And unfortunately, one casualty from yesterday, Todd Coleman, who crashed and brought out the lone full course yellow of the day yesterday. The damage was too extreme. He cannot start race 2. Let's check in quickly with Amanda.
Well, as you can see behind me, the Zalus team is getting ready to bring Jason Harward here into pit lane to look over. Although the car left pit lane, they are having issues getting the car into gear. The car is simply not shifting. A couple of updates from the GT3 class. I talked to Justin Wetherell this morning and asked him, how exactly do you get around your teammate, Onofrio Triarzi, who started on pole yesterday and won this race? He simply responded with a smile and said, hopes and dreams, Amanda. That's how I do it, hopes and dreams. But seriously, he said it's got to be right here at the beginning of this race. He knows how fast Onofrio is, and so going into turn 9, 10, 11, 12, that's where he's going to see if he can get, or heading into the chicane, seeing if he can get around Onofrio.
Will be interesting to see at the start of this race. Tough break, though, for Harward with the misfortune. Finished 7th yesterday, came into the weekend 3rd in SRO 3 points. That was a big hit one day ago, and it's not looking good to start race 2.
This is the last track you want to have transmission troubles with. A lot of shifting. You don't spend much time in top gear. And with the tight corners, you're in lower gears a lot. So it is start time, and we're about to send the SRO 3 crew on their way.
And here we go. The pace quickens, and it fans out somewhat further back. Side by side, the teammates fighting for the lead. Triarci will grab it just across the bridge, but look at Daskalos in the Audi. He was strong yesterday, ran as high as 2nd. He's got a run right now, but he also has to fend off Scott Smithson.
That light-colored pavement is a patch that was installed after part of the roadways came up. These are streets, of course, used every day by the citizens. Whoa!
Around goes Schwest. That's the points leader in GT4, and he picks up some damage. That's a spin off the nose of the Cognazzi car, and that looks likely to bring out a full course yellow. He has finished 2nd in 3 straight races, and on the strength of his consistency, Bob, he is the points leader, the only driver in the series to score points in every round.
And it looks like that streak is likely to come to an end. That was a pretty big hit.
Triarci has stolen a march on the rest of the SRO 3 field. That has left the battle now to be waged between Wetherell and Daskalos for 2nd. This is good news, I suppose, for this race at the very least, as Schwest was able to drive away from that accident, but heavy damage at the front of his Aston Martin.
Yep, I was watching that clock at the top of the screen, still showing green. So Schwest able to drive away. We'll see how much debris he might have left. See if he can come back and finish in the top 10 positions and score in class. Back on the bridge over the mighty Cumberland River. So much history here in Nashville. Great place to visit.
And a lot of racing history, too. If you think of the old Nashville Fairgrounds Oval, there's the Nashville Super Speedway that's outside of the city limits, but not much in the way of road racing until this event debuted 1 year ago, and it's become a fan favorite immediately. Here comes Marco Radicic working on Edgar Lau. BMW versus Mustang in the run into the heavy braking zone. This is just across the Cumberland River in a more industrial part of the town, working its way through some of the warehouses and things of that nature on the opposite side of the Cumberland River. A couple twists and turns, and then right back over the bridge.
All of this action taking place on the eastern side of Nissan Stadium, which I was told by my driver this morning is being torn down or converted into a baseball stadium as Nashville plans to seek a Major League Baseball franchise in the future. Meanwhile, the Tennessee Titans NFL team will get a totally new $1.8 billion stadium on the far side of the river.
Now that move that we saw Radisik side by side with Lau, that was actually Lau making the pass on Radisik rather. He now has jumped up to third, so the big mover early on has been the Hong Konger, Edgar Lau, up 4 positions in the first handful of laps. That Mustang was strong yesterday, and he looks right at home on the street course.
And he does. Great to see that Singleton Mustang out here mixing it up with all the international brands in this series. Tremendous manufacturer participation. All the cars you ever dreamed about owning and driving out here, strutting their stuff.
Good fight here, Radisik and Cagnazzi. Cagnazzi had that great start, but he's dropped back considerably. He's down to the 5th spot now with Radisik moving through. We chatted about it off air before the broadcast, Bob, and it looked like yesterday passing was at a premium, but we've been well, let's see, convinced to go the other direction in our opinions here based on the first few laps in this race.
Blessed is the way I think the
Indeed.
fans like to think about it, and it's true. Passing is really difficult here. Here's an example of a tight oh man.
Late on the brakes, he makes that lunge and gets the move made. Cagnazzi, though, trying to come back.
We should emphasize these are not professional racers in the sense that these gentlemen, with the possible exception of Andy Pilgrim, who has, shall we say, aged into this form of racing. Andy being up there in years of experience now, but the rest are not pros. They don't have all that experience. So we call them gentleman drivers, certainly competent, but lacking that experience. So if you're going to mix it up, you've heard the phrase, you got to read the room if you're talking to a crowd. Well, here you have to read the grid. You have to know who you're racing. What kind of move can I put on this guy? Does he watch his mirrors or not? Do I show him the nose, or would I try to catch him by surprise? And when you have as few opportunities to pass and as evenly matched as these cars are, well, you got to get creative.
That's exactly what Adam Adelson did. That was part of the track where it takes some bravery to make the move, and he did, and was able to keep Cagnazzi behind him. So Adelson now up to 5th. It's been a good season for Adam in multiple championships here in GT America as well as in Pirelli GT4 America, the 2-driver all GT4 series that also runs on most SRO America weekends. This, of course, one of 2 standalone weekends for SRO America relative to the rest of their championship brethren. This and the street course in St. Petersburg back in February, where GT America also featured.
See, from the tire tracks on the street, there's been a lot of entry lines into that corner.
That is the fan favorite Callaway Corvette. This is chassis number 001 of the C7 edition of the Callaway Corvette. Up a couple of spots here in the race is Mirko Schultes, the German driver, who has an affinity for Chevrolet that goes back to his youth when he needed a car to transport off-roading equipment, and somehow he ended up in Germany with a Chevrolet truck that he told me had the roof cut off of it. And for whatever reason, he found that endearing and has been a big fan of racing Chevrolets ever since, even the prototype racing that he's done. And he's had success in Prototype Challenge back in the old American Le Mans Series days, were Chevy-powered prototypes.
And that helps explain the great success and longevity of the factory Corvette racing program, with all their victories in the great endurance races around the world. The Corvette is a worldwide favorite. They sell thousands of the things all over the world. It speaks to America abroad. It's great to see one here battling on the streets of Nashville.
This Callaway Corvette is interesting in that it is not factory supported. This is a privateer tuner effectively in the Callaway organization, which, yes, if you're wondering, is the same Callaway as the Callaway Golf family.
Right, Reeves Callaway has been messing around, if you will, with Corvettes for a long, long time, and he just tunes them to a T, and they will perform.
But it was done with the blessing of General Motors, of course, but they never could race alongside or against official GM factory teams, and the opportunity popped up a couple of years ago to race in what is now Fanatec GT World Challenge America, powered by AWS. Saw the car for a few rounds there, and now it's back here in GT America with Mirko Schultes.
Well, second verse, same as the first. Triarsi with a handy lead as he tries to stay undefeated in his 2 races in the series thus far this year. Then Wetherill battling with Daskalos.
And Schultes up to 4th behind them, but it is a significant gap, as you can see. Schultes not in the picture, just entering it, as these two make their way through this tight, twisty section of the track. That's a bold move by Daskalos. We saw him do that a few times yesterday, and it was his mastery of traffic that put him in a position to run second.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Know who you're passing. If it's a much slower car, make sure you show him or present your car, make sure he sees you, and then, like Daskalos, just put the hammer down and carry on, because he does not want to fall out of that battle with Justin Wetherill, who was an interesting guy. As a teenager, he started a business fixing computers, and it was called something fairly opaque, like you break it, I fix it. And he built that company into hundreds of franchises around the country. Still quite a young man, but he can drive whatever he wants.
He's chosen the Ferrari, as many do. What a halo automobile, as are so many that compete in this championship. That's what we often talk about. The beauty of a sports car racing paddock, there is something for everyone. If Japanese tuners are your thing, well, we got the Supra. If you like the classic German sports cars, we got Porsche, we got BMW, Aston Martin representing the United Kingdom, the Ford Mustang of American muscle, or the Callaway Corvette, if that's more your tune. And the different shapes and sounds of GT racing are a huge part of the appeal. 10 minutes into this 40-minute sprint, down to the pit lane and Amanda.
Well, Ryan, the other thing that I was going to add there, the other beautiful thing about a sports car paddock, especially here at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, is ours is open to the public. And today, this morning, not even an hour and a half ago, our drivers were sitting for the driver autograph session. And with the ticket, the price of admission here for Nashville, being able to come by and see our guys, you can just see the smiles on the drivers if they were just eating this moment up. But guys, when we got off air yesterday, our guys went over to the victory circle that they have set here, and I promise you, it was 20 to 30 deep of fans yelling for these guys as they took the podium. So I have to imagine that our showing here for SRO America in Nashville has been a fun one all around.
Well, that's a bit of a Walter Mitty moment for the fans. I mean, those guys, our guys, as Amanda calls them, are as close to the folks sitting in the stands as you can get without actually getting behind the wheel of a car. Yes, the Indy cars are here. Yes, the stadium super trucks are flying everywhere, creating havoc. There's a lot going on. The ticket gives you a great value and the opportunity to watch all sorts of professional levels of driving on display.
And it's the beauty of a street course race, the chance to introduce the sport to new fans, to a brand new market. Again, we talked about the oval history of racing within the city of Nashville, but this is something totally different. But walking around this year, it was the same last year in the inaugural event. The enthusiasm for the road racing, the wide eyes and big smiles that you see from the paying customer. It's been a job well done getting everyone's attention as to what road racing is all about. Cognazzi, by the way, has been the fastest man on track in GT4 here in recent laps. That's the bright yellow Mercedes that is now looming in the rearview mirror for Edgar Lau. Had a great start, had one of the fastest laps in GT4 yesterday, but dropped back initially and now starting to recover.
Been a bit of struggle for them this weekend. The more I watch this action, I spoke earlier about the fact that the the stadium configuration is going to change as new buildings are built. I just hope and pray that they don't impact this racetrack negatively. Designed by track designer Tony Kottman to resemble a musical note. It is different. The bridge makes it distinctive. Fortunately, the series and event organizers listen to the drivers about what they want to make it faster, more exciting, more competitive. So Nashville's got it all going on. I hope it stays that way despite the other sports facilities being built. Oh, I thought I was going to drive there.
Late on the brakes, wasn't he? Closed up on Bell, but Bell closed the door. That's brought Cognazzi right into the fight. It's a three-way battle on our hands here with Bell running second, Lau third, Cognazzi in fourth, and looming large, he has certainly caught that Ford Mustang.
This is going to be fun to watch.
How defensive is Lau going to be? Veteran of several Asian championships, ran the SCCA runoffs in a Mustang at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last year. Riding home in this Rotec Racing Mustang. Keep in mind it was a 1-2 for the Rotec team yesterday with Rob Holland in the other team car. That's the Porsche Cayman. Here we go. Cognazzi, he is close. Is he close enough to make a lunge?
He looks right, he looks left. Present an opportunity here. Takes away the piece of track that Cognazzi needs. Driving for Boatman. Cognazzi's going to need to be patient. Here comes an opportunity, the widest part of the racetrack as they go up and over the bridge. And hard braking for the turnaround section on the far side.
Their squabble, though, has allowed Bell to escape. He's built a 1 second gap over these two. That's great news for Jason. Points leader coming in, lost that coming into today, but looks poised, running in second at the moment to regain that points lead and maybe extend it a great deal given the misfortune for Ross West. Race Vision powered by AWS numbers. We talk about how tight these sections of the track are. Look at that. The top speed in turn 10, it's so tight. Top speed is only 33.5 miles an hour, and Chris Cognazzi, one of the very best in that part of the racetrack.
And that's how you create passing zones. Very heavy braking. So it becomes a battle of skill on the brakes. From up in the 150s down to 35 miles an hour, let's say. This track has everything. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, a lot of transmission work going up and down the gears. Cognazzi let Lau get away from him the last time they moved up onto the Veterans Memorial Bridge. Now he looks down the inside and wow, that's close.
Well, Chris should be confident here on this track. He had the fastest race lap in race one, last year rather. Started on pole in race 2 and went on to win race 2 in Nashville. Looks right at home. And Steve Cameron prepared Mercedes-AMG GT4.
Yeah, he's a bit closer this time, is Cognazzi. But Lau in that Mustang just seems to have the legs. With the top speed differential.
It's interesting. The Mustang you would think of as a straight line monster, but it actually has earned a reputation for being better through tight, twisty parts of racetracks and struggling somewhat on top end with how it was designed by the folks at Multimatic. Very similar in a lot of respects to what you hear the feedback about that Mercedes. So the two do look pretty evenly matched. This is the race leader, Rob Holland, but I did notice that Jason Bell appears to be closing in. And it does sound like recent laps, Rob Holland has not had the same pace that he had out of the gates.
It's been quite a weekend for Rob Holland thus far, without a victory till he won yesterday. Just adding more fuel to that fire in the GT4 championship standings. mentioned, 8 different drivers have won in the 9 races thus far.
Look at that. That stat tells it all. The last 3 laps. In fact, in the last 2, Jason Bell has taken nearly a second and a half out of Rob Holland's lead. And you do have to wonder, that Porsche was very good last night over a 40-minute race, but the conditions are much different. The track temperature continues to come up. And maybe the GMG guys nailed it for a long run here, because Jason Bell appears to be coming to life as the race progresses. Let's get an update from the pits now with Amanda.
Just wanted to add on Jason Bell. If the race ended right now, effectively, he would be the points leader in the GT4 class by 15 points with Ross West out of this race now. You talked about Ross having performance at every single event. Well, Jason Bell, while he wasn't able to finish the first race at Sonoma, he actually has a win under his belt, something over Ross West. But we talked to Rob Holland in our interview last night. 8 different winners in this category. The parity of this class is so strong, and even after this race here today, there are 6 races left on the season in GT America. You have to think that this battle is just getting started.
No question about that, Amanda. And Rob Holland, he was in the championship mix going back to last season. Going into the final race, it looked like he would have a chance at the title in GT4. Ultimately, it went the way of Jason Bell. So these two are not unfamiliar with sparring with one another. Meanwhile, this continues to be the overall leader, Onofrio Triarci, with a lead now that has come down. It was over 4 seconds a little while ago. It's down under 3, but you saw that gaggle of GT4 traffic just behind him a few moments ago, and I suspect that might have had something to do with it. Meanwhile, Cognazzi forcing his way through on Edgar Lau. He'll grab the second spot. Traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. What an aggressive move by Chris Cognazzi. He gets by Edgar Lau, and Adam Adelson's very much in the mix now too in the Premier Porsche.
That was an aggressive move. Now let's see if the Mustang can pull the Mercedes back on that wide open stretch.
Now I think we're gonna get a look at it here. This was Triarci coming through over the bridge at the very front, but all of the action happened right behind him, and that was the move, working through what appears to be a little bit of lap traffic.
Like Lau came over and made first contact, driving defensively. Cognazzi was having none of it. Jammed that Mercedes up the inside.
Oh, and he didn't give room for Daskalos there. Daskalos into the wall. That's the 3rd place running car in SRO 3.
Daskalos on the attack. Nope, can't get it done. Well, maybe I can.
Oh, it's another bit of contact between these two. That is not something you're used to seeing, out of class contact.
A little bit of frustration there from Daskalos. As you pointed out in yesterday's race, this Audi R8 LMS GT3 chassis is old by the standards of racing cars, let's be honest.
Long in the tooth, that's for sure. That's one of the things about this championship. It does allow for some of the older GT3 cars like this Audi, like the Callaway Corvette, that are out of official GT3 homologation to still have a home. And if you're wondering, that's why it's called the SRO3 class, so that a class-specific BOP can be implemented outside of what you see globally for GT3. I don't know if Daskalos is all right. That car has looked a little bit strange, and he's dropped off the pace. Cognazzi has not fallen off of him. And here comes Mirko Schultes in that Callaway Corvette, the 2 oldest cars probably here in the paddock, outside of the vintage Indy cars, I suppose. And they found each other here fighting for the final step of the podium.
It's just what I was thinking. 2 oldest chassis, still putting on a show.
This is what we've seen from Mirko this season. Doesn't necessarily get out of the gate with a ton of speed, but it's stronger and stronger as the race goes along. And right now, he's got a chance for another podium. Actually, it would be his first podium on the season. He's finished 4th on 4 occasions. Finished 8th yesterday, but has found the pace let's see if we can take a look at what happened here. Watch the Audi trying to make his way through the GT4 field. It's Cagnazzi in the second placed GT4 car right up ahead.
Looks down the inside. Cagnazzi goes wide.
Oh, and here's the move. This is for position. Schultes, though, can't make the pass. Wounded or otherwise, Daskalos, he's able to hang on to the position with 17 minutes to go. Let's hear more from the Daskalos camp, Amanda. How is that car?
Well, the team isn't sure if he's going to come in or not, but they are getting ready as if he may. He's trying to keep it out as long as he can, but they're having a steering issue. So you can imagine that Jason right now is battling that car around these turns here at the Nashville circuit, but it does look like the team's getting ready. Gloves are on the crew guys. I would imagine Jason might be swinging by pit lane here shortly.
He's got his hands full. Just the body language of that car visually, you can see it is not all 100% for Daskalos, and very soon this is about to be a 3-car fight because George Kurtz is catching them hand over fist.
Kurtz running 5th. You mentioned BOP earlier. For those not familiar with the concept, whoa, we had a switch of positions. Here's Wetherill goes ahead of his team boss, Triarci.
Wow.
Was that planned, I wonder, or is Wetherill just that much quicker at the moment?
And it's a question that begs answering, that's for sure. Wetherill to the points around the winner from yesterday and the pole sitter, Onofrio Triarci, who does have the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race so far.
Now, Triarci is only in his 2nd race of the season. He is not a championship contender. Wetherill is. He has only dropped out of 1 race thus far this year, or failed to score, I should say, and that was in round 7, the first race at Watkins Glen. So perhaps Onofrio Triarci, on behalf of his Triarci team, is allowing Wetherill into the lead to score maximum points.
It is a thought. I wonder if Amanda can check on that for us. Oh, and Triarci with a lurid slide there as he tried to put the power down. So, yeah, that is one theory. Maybe the handling has just gone away. This fight continuing here, but for Wetherill, and Schultes working around the outside. He's late on the brakes. He gets it wound up, and he grabs the 2nd spot.
Here comes George Kurtz in that red Mercedes, flashing his headlights to let the car head know he's there, and he's coming.
There are championship implications in this battle, too, because 1st and 2nd in SRO 3 are Kurtz and Daskalos in that order. Daskalos got 3 points closer yesterday by virtue of beating George on the road. George Kurtz can reverse that misfortune if he can make this pass here in the final 15 minutes.
The streak of 4 consecutive wins was snapped yesterday, but we wondered throughout race 1 here in Nashville if Kurtz was just being discreet. He's the championship leader by a wide margin. He doesn't want to risk a no score, and he'll take what the race gives him.
And right now, it's giving him the 4th spot as George Kurtz has made the pass on the ailing Jason Daskalos. That car, just joining us, made some contact with the wall as he tried to work his way through lap traffic, and it has not been right since, with Amanda reporting a steering issue on that Audi. And it's cost Jason dearly. He's dropped down from 3rd to 5th in just a few laps.
To finish my point about BOP, it stands for balance of performance. It's a variety of performance factors like weight, power, and so on that is adjusted by the series officials and rules makers to ensure the kind of parity we're enjoying here today. And all of the competitors complain about it. Because they always think they're getting the short end of the stick.
Under 14 minutes to go, Justin Wetherill doing something that no one other than Onofrio Triarci had done all weekend long, which is leading overall until about 2 laps ago, when somehow he was able to get through past his teammate, past the team boss, and he now has that lead, but Triarci has not gone away.
Which makes me believe more and more that that was a deliberate move, and that Triarci is basically riding shotgun for Wetherill.
It's been a good run of form in the last several races for Justin Wetherill. Back-to-back podiums, race 2 at Watkins Glen, race 1 here in Nashville yesterday, and he finds himself 12 minutes away from his first win in the championship. They've got under 13 minutes to go, and once again down to the pits in Amanda.
Well, you guys asked me to go down and catch out this Ferrari story and how Justin Wetherill got around Onofrio Triarzi, and the team simply, they said that these guys are just out there racing. There were no team orders that came from them, but if there was a decision made, that would have rested on the shoulders of Onofrio Triarzi, who would know the implications of where Justin Wetherill is in this GT America Championship. And you know, he was the pole sitter yesterday. He got the win yesterday on the top of the podium, so maybe it is time for Justin to get that glory as well.
I have nothing to prove, is Onofrio Triarzi thinking. And he is right there on his man, Justin Wetherill.
I have a feeling we're about to be disabused of the notion that that was intentional here. Triarzi is looming large. He's looking aggressive. Not close enough to poke the nose out of line. Running right there on the rear wing of the team car. Justin Wetherill, Onofrio Triarzi separated by just a few tenths of a second.
That would be the announcer's curse. We've got it all figured out until we don't.
This would be a first career win in GT America for Wetherill if he were to get it done. This is on the heels of a first win in the championship for Triarzi yesterday. Wetherill has won in Fanatec GT World Challenge America powered by AWS, where he drives for this same team in a similar chassis, alongside sports car racing veteran Ryan Dial, longtime driver coach.
Proud Scotsman is Ryan Dial.
Indeed. Though domiciled in Florida for the last decade and a half or
Quite
so.
a long time, yep. I covered Ryan back in his Atlantic days. His hair was pink, and he wore a kilt to the award ceremonies.
Well, these two have worked together, Dial and Wetherill, that is, as mentor and mentee for 3 or 4 years at this point. But this is the first chance to get to race with one another, at least in Fanatec GT World Challenge, the 2-driver race format. Ryan racing himself this weekend up in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, but I'm sure keeping tabs on his young charge, Justin Wetherill.
Now almost a full 7-second lead for these two cars from Triarzi Competizioni. What a display by these two drivers. I'm wondering if officials might pay the BOP visit after this. Maybe tweak those Ferraris a little bit, taking nothing away from what they've done.
Inside the final 10 minutes, and you see two drivers on the opposite end of the experience spectrum, with Adam Adelson very new to racing at this level against the extremely experienced Andy Pilgrim, driving for Regal Motorsports with the Bartone brothers here this weekend. Had a nice quiet day yesterday, did Andy. Same for Adam, for that matter. And they found each other. They've been dueling now for the last 10 minutes. What a great opportunity to learn if you're Adam Adelson, who has aspirations to get to Le Mans one day. Has found himself in a financial position where he can chase this racing dream, and now you get a chance to measure yourself with someone who has not only been to Le Mans, but has stood on that podium in the past.
Absolutely. Andy Pilgrim has a distinguished professional racing career with GM. Came to the Rolex 24, co-driving a Corvette with Dale Earnhardt, senior and junior, in 2001, was.
Yeah, that's correct, because it was just a short time before Dale's untimely passing in the Daytona 500 in 2001. What that might have led to, that Corvette opportunity. Dale Jr. has talked about his dad's desires to go sports car racing when his NASCAR career came to an end.
Yeah, I spoke with Dale Sr. at a NASCAR banquet once about that, but the things he would like to do aside from his 7 championships in Cup racing, and he said, oh yeah, Le Mans, just right off the top of his head. Sadly, it never came to pass. But Andy moved on to the Cadillac program in the Pirelli series, as it was then known, co-driving with Johnny O'Connell. What have we here?
This is Sean Whalen. His A-Loose Aston Martin. That car looks like it's crabbing to me.
It is, yeah. It's out at the right rear. Suspension damage. Well, 7.5 minutes remaining. It remains the Triarsi Competizione Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo Parade.
Pair of prancing horses up at the very front of this field. Onofrio Triarsi has closed right back in. How aggressive will he be with his teammate, with the team car? There's going to be GT4 traffic to deal with before this is all said and done. And Bob, we've seen how crucial that can be. It can make or break a race, especially on a street circuit.
Absolutely. This track does not have the runoff you'd find at a place like Sonoma, Road America, 2 of the tracks that the series visits. There's nothing but concrete walls. You have to take that into account. Back to the Bell-Cagnazzi battle.
And Chris is closing in. That gap has come down significantly over the past few laps. And I'll say this, Chris has been in the wars today, but he's undeterred. He's got that head down and is on pace for a very good result. Again, the winner of race 2 of the Nashville weekend 1 year ago. Cagnazzi this season, his best finish is 2nd. That was in race 2 at Sonoma. It's the position he's trying to take away from Jason Bell right here with under 6 minutes to go. Update, by the way, on the Sean Whalen situation. Evidently a faulty steering wheel connecting wire. Oh, that might have been on the other St. Louis car. That would make sense. That would be on the Jason Harwood Lamborghini, because it definitely looked like there was something mechanically wrong with the Aston that we saw a few moments ago.
And it was a pretty quick fix when the mechanic leaned in.
There's a look up the inside. Cagnazzi very late on the brakes. Can he arrest the speed? Yes, he can. Mercedes up to P2.
Very clean. Kudos to both drivers.
Yes, exactly. And Jason Bell, maybe in years past, he wouldn't have been so circumspect about that move, but something clicked for him in the midpoint of the year last year, working with Andrew Davis, an esteemed driver in his own right. That's Jason's driver coach and co-driver at Pirelli GT4 America. And he started thinking big picture, and it was evident in the second half of the season last year. That's carried over to this year too. He knows that Ross Schwest is out of this race and will not score points. That's his closest championship rival. Yeah, 2nd pays more points than 3rd, but 3rd is still a pretty darn good day. And if that's what the race is giving you, you'd better take it.
Right. Just as we talked about earlier with George Kurtz. Jason Bell's nearest rival in the championship, Ross Schwest, is not going to score points today. Cagnazzi is not a factor. He is 6th, I believe, officially in the championship standings right now. So Bell can afford to treat him with kid gloves out there.
Now we got to see what kind of pace he has relative to Rob Holland, who continues to lead in GT4, but is some 4 seconds up the road. A little further down the road, that's where you find this fight for 5th and 6th, Adelson and Pilgrim. That'll not going away. Getting very defensive here. Pilgrim looks like he's got to run, but nowhere to go with it. Has to back out, settle back in line, and plot that move for later in the lap. It is a KG veteran in the green Porsche running in 6th. And all the credit in the world to Adam Adelson for withstanding the pressure that Andy Pilgrim is heaping on him.
You can see they drive very different lines in some of the slower corners now. Why Adelson that move to driver's right, open up the space for Pilgrim. Interesting.
3 minutes to go. Pilgrim trying to take 5th place away. One thought might be to avoid a bump. I know we've seen some cars in various series doing that to avoid a manhole cover, things of that nature around the street circuits, things you don't think of when you're driving around a traditional road course, maybe Sebring being the exception there.
True that.
And that, of course, is the next stop on the calendar from, I take that back, there is Road America in between, but coming up here soon will be Sebring for this championship. Here we go again with George Kurtz continuing a nice recovery drive, much as he did yesterday. Starting position was not great, but he was up there in 4th by the end of the day. That's where he finds himself now, but Mirko Schultes very much in his crosshairs.
Meanwhile, you saw the 2 Triarci Ferraris making their way back onto the bridge. They basically had that entire section of racetrack next to the stadium behind the leaders. Gap is now 12 seconds from 3rd place Daskalos to 5th place, or excuse me, 4th place Schultes.
Word from race control. We expect the white flag the next time by. 2 laps remaining for the overall leader, Justin Wetherill. Behind him, his teammate, Onofrio Triarci. Then you get to this battle here, 3rd and 4th, with Mirko Schultes in the Mishu Motors run Callaway Corvette, George Kurtz, Riley Motorsports, the famed North Carolina-based operation. Bob and Bill Riley, for so many years involved in all forms of motorsport, building, designing race cars, but also running teams, and that's what they've done so well this season with George Kurtz, who leads this SRO 3 championship by 50 points over his nearest rival. Two of the best sounding cars at the racetrack this weekend. The Callaway Corvette, the Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo. Oh, and George a little bit deep that time. And that's going to cost him dearly as it leads to this long straightaway up and over the Korean Veterans Memorial Bridge.
Whoa.
Debris in the middle of the road. They're going to need to be aware of that. That could puncture a tire quickly.
Great reaction from Schultes because he didn't have much time to make a move. Same for Kurtz.
Here come the leaders to take that white flag. Justin Wetherill at the point. Onofrio Triarci, who has dominated the weekend but lost the lead some 3/4 of the way into this race, trying to make it back-to-back wins, but if he's going to do so, he's got to displace his teammate. Up and over the bridge for the penultimate time. They'll cross back the other direction in just a few moments into the braking zone. This is one of 2 good passing opportunities. And look at all that GT4 traffic looming. Meanwhile, Rob Holland continues to show the way in the GT4 class.
Boy, Holland has really come alive this weekend. Okay, now that last pass over the bridge, headed for the checkered flag.
How much will traffic play a factor in this? How much did Wetherill's run out of that corner get hindered by that Supra in front of him? He clears him now. Triarci in the slipstream. He's got one more good shot to make the move, and it's coming up right here at the foot of the bridge. He'll show the nose to the inside, heavy on the brakes, unable to make the pass. Now can the leaders negotiate this traffic? That is a battle for 5th and 6th in GT4 right ahead of them. Here comes Triarci, taking a peek to the left-hand side. The door is shut in his face. Justin Wetherill, a few corners away from his first win in GT America powered by AWS. He'll move past Adam Adelson into the braking zone here for the final time, and now the sprint to the checkered flag. Justin Wetherill wins overall in race 2 in Nashville.
I would have eaten my hat if I had one. If Onofrio Triarci had made a move on Justin Wetherill there. They made it exciting. No question about it. And another great performance by that Triarci team.
Back-to-back 1-2 finishes for the Florida-based team. Margin of victory, 0.3 of a second. It won't be so close in GT4. It's been a masterclass from Rob Holland the veteran driver who has spent much of his recent racing career over in Europe. This Rotec Racing team has a shop based at the Nürburgring Nordschleife where they've done a lot of their work. Chris Cognazzi, though, let's give him credit. He is closing in, but it does not look like he'll be close enough to do anything about Rob Holland and deprive him of a chance to sweep the weekend in Nashville.
Cognazzi has had some contact. Rob Holland's car, absolutely unblemished.
The final few bends, the checkered flag awaits. Rob Holland, Rotec Racing, going for back-to-back wins on the streets of Nashville. And Rob Holland, welcome to the championship conversation. A double race win weekend for Rob Holland in Nashville.
Beautifully driven.
And all credit to Chris Cognazzi, who was able to close in. Ultimately, it was a pretty small gap, only a second and a half between the two. And he'll take a second place to help him in his championship bid. He came in well down the order, but this will be a nice boost. And Jason Bell, speaking of championship boosts, another podium finish for Jason when Ross Schwest, who entered this race as the points leader, dropped out very early. This will be very good for Jason Bell in his attempt to claim the title. CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race goes to Onofrio Triarsi, who very nearly swept all of the accolades this weekend. 2 poles, 2 fastest laps, 2 podiums, but only 1 win.
That's all.
That's all. But a win for the team, and I suspect the celebration will be a vigorous one.
And a 5th different winner in 10 races in the SRO3 class. Rob Holland's double this weekend means we remain on 8 different winners atop the podium in 10 races in GT4.
Well,
beautiful demonstration by the Triarsi guys.
Absolutely. To go 1-2 in both races, and this is a team that comes from Ferrari Challenge, which means street courses are not really commonplace unless you count Montreal, which is somewhat of a street course.
Parkland setting.
That's right.
But it does have more runoff than we do here in Nashville by a long shot.
But a first-time winner in this championship, Justin Wetherill. Can't wait to hear from a first-time winner. Those are always fun interviews in Victory Lane.
That's the section of the Cumberland Riverbank where a new stadium is going to be built. Broadway, all of the sights and sounds of Nashville, definitely worth a stop. Let's get down to the pit lane and Amanda.
And definitely still catching his breath down here. Justin, you pick up your first win in GT America, and you told me prior to the show that it was going to take hopes and dreams to win here today. Where did you identify a way around your teammate, and how'd you get it done?
Oh, just about being consistent over time. Like, fortunately, we were had a little bit of a gap, and it allowed me to just push a little bit harder.
You guys gave us heck of a battle there towards the end. How did he keep you honest to it?
We came here dreaming of a 1-2 finish either way, and for this to happen 2 days in a row is incredible. The cars are great, the team's great, coaching. It's been an incredible blessing, and we just couldn't be happier and feel more privileged to be here.
Branson Course sweeps the weekend here in Nashville.
Big thumbs up from Justin. He gets the job done. And now he can get on with the important aspect of the weekend, which of course is the celebration in one of the great party towns in this country. Let's look at the results. Justin Wetherill, as mentioned, by 0.3 of a second over Onofrio Triarsi. Mirko Schultes, first podium of the year. He comes home 3rd. George Kurtz, back-to-back 4th place finishes for George, the points leader. Daskelos faded late with that damage. Then Smithson, Washington, and Askew in SRO3. Rob Holland, back-to-back wins. Impressive stuff for Rob. Chris Cognazzi there in 2nd, Jason Bell in 3rd, then Lau and Adelson, who did hold off Andy Pilgrim. How impressive is that?
And keep in mind, all this taking place on a 90-plus degree day here on the streets of Nashville. I thought Justin Wetherill looked pretty fresh, all things considered. And there you see the rest of the finishers, with the exception of Schwest, who did not reach the checkered flag. Back down to Amanda.
Well, you guys talk about how hot it is. Mirko Schultes just reiterated that. We are taking a little rest against the wall here, but you are the winner in the Masters class. When you battle the heat, when you battle the competition, how does it make you a better driver?
I just do a lot of, right now I'm half in Germany, half in Florida. It's very hot in Florida, so it's good exercise, go running there. I do still do dirt bike and motocross in Punta Gorda. It's very hot there, so this is good practice because our car does not have air condition. So we have, I don't know, 180 Fahrenheit in the car, so it's hot.
How meaningful was it for you to showcase this Corvette in front of these fans?
Oh, it was, yeah, everyone came to our pit in the last days, and everyone likes the Corvette, and we're doing not so good yesterday. We had engine gremlins, sometimes it was running, sometimes it was not. So in the practice, we had gearbox issues. So basically, today was the first time and everything went fine. So, and then I could get up to speed.
Well, Darren Mirko, let us see that hat. You won.
Big smile on his face. He loves his racing, a true enthusiast. And it's just so great to see and, more importantly, hear that Callaway Corvette ripping around. Street courses, road courses, it doesn't matter. It is a fan favorite for a reason.
Yeah, and it makes the point that everything has to go right to be successful in racing. It wasn't there for them yesterday. Today it was. And the results were clear. And to my point about the heat of the day, 180 degrees inside that Corvette. Yikes.
Sounds unpleasant, to say the least. Back down to Victory Circle and Amanda.
Well, Rob Holland becomes the first back-to-back winner and the first two-time winner here in GT America Series in the GT4 class. Everything coming together for you in this season right now. How is it happening?
Oh, it's the team, 100%. I mean, that's the great thing about getting 2 wins in a weekend, and now I can devote the next 5 minutes to my team. The guys at Road Tech Racing just did an epic job. You know, we're running 2 different cars this weekend, 2 different manufacturers. The guys just got them completely dialed. You know, Edgar Lau's been doing a great job. You know, I've got Brad Larson on my crew. I've got Cody. I can't remember Cody's last name, but sorry, Cody. But, you know, Brian Ma, you know, all these guys are just showing up. Al, who's our hospitality guy, every single person just put so much effort into the program. And then along with the sponsors of Helipagan and Motul and Garrett, and we're doing the rescue for the boxer, Middle Tennessee Boxer Association. So, you know, it was one of those things where it's just everybody's been here, everybody's been doing 100%, and that's where the team effort comes in.
Congratulations, Rob.
It does take a full team effort to take victory, and that's exactly what the Road Tech guys did. A couple of really good finishes over the course of this weekend. Bob, final thoughts from Nashville?
Well, a spectacular weekend, I'd have to say. The diversity of the cars, diversity of the circumstances, everything right down to the light levels. It's been a spectacular weekend. As I say, I hope we come back here year after year for a long time to come.
I echo those sentiments completely. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. It's been a fun weekend here in Nashville. We'll be back in action in just a few weeks' time in a much different setting, but a picturesque one. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin's Road America next on the calendar for GT America, powered by AWS. For Amanda, Bob, and our entire team, I'm Ryan Marine saying so long from Music City.